There is one such that when the spacecraft approaches the speed of light, how much material does it use? Well, let's say if you wanted to speed up such a spaceship to the speed of light, then at the elbow the material is dirty so much so that it takes a little more, say, at half the speed of light at home at 0 2. Half speed 1 or 2, what's there? 1 or 2 and 3. The point is this is so steeply starting to go upward. And it means that a moon-sized fuel tank is not enough to further accelerate, because it would require endless fuel. Okay, but the extraterrestrials that the bubbly hell come then here for 100 light years. There are such ideas here to freeze come with hibernation. There is such a technology for extraterrestrials, yes. There are those who could not think of things anymore, just like science, because the extraterrestrials do not move in space. From then on, what is it not in space? Well, in the space that physics today teaches, certainly not in the space. The task cannot be solved. You know, there is distance, time, acceleration, deceleration, etc. in that space. So if I start to speed my spaces, I don't even accelerate it, just say with a g. So, in a whole 9/10th year, I reach the speed of light if it weren't for this curve, because this curve stops me to go with the speed of light. Outside, it's stupid as it is. So the photo rocket, which has been explained 60 years ago, was driven by a light sign, a large amount of light. Material and matter meets a large amount of light, and then it pushes the spaceship forward, and so it can speed up a spaceship to the 3/8, to say the speed of light. It is no longer worth it, though not there. I could know if you move into the space you are defenseless. Full, a little Syrian lake, you don't have to be the big pebble at the tip of my finger, which usually dirty your nose now. Now a little pebble so much, when I come to face me how much time I have to recognize, destroy, avoid the gravel, I have no chance at all. I have no chance if I go at the speed of light, and just a small one, so that's why I do like a fold a little bit. I'll be a cream on the wall that you can't imagine. So you'll be such a shoe paste on the wall. Because you buy such a big bend, you buy such a little bend. If you calculate the acceleration of the impressive 40 g, 80 g, 100 g, the kids hit him at 8 games with 99 say, when I hit a submachine gun, I hit a railway rail, and slam. At impact, ball slows down with 90s. Now imagine this, that suddenly a year of power has been influenced by such power. That is, therefore there is no chance. You should not go to that. This is the wrong direction. It can be said that we will be power, we go and quickly and very much no.
But there is G. What? But is G? Where? Gravitational. Where? Of course it is.
Of course. You have, of course. In fact, if I accelerate it, I accelerate as long as I accelerate. Until then, there is a G on the spaceship. You can walk, come, go, everything. The D can do it. It's almost 2 years. And I slow down for 2 years, say. It is also a whole 9/10 to have a G continuously slowing down. There will be a break when we are weightless, and then again. But then the floor is opposite, reverse. The opposite, the floor, but the opposite. But you can do it. Yes, just how do you protect the spacecraft? I said it several times, just because it is something that can be lived by everyone. Have you ever come through a plane between lamb clouds? Yes. What did you do? From jackets. Blood be elder dug, so it is a jerk, because the denser medium, less frequent medium, thicker, less frequent, denser, where clouds, where there is no cloud, is rarer, and therefore rumbles, and the wind goes into such a flapping wind. And the pilots try to get through these quickly or get caution to make no big zoom. But this shows what a very small change you are doing. But if a pebble comes to face, I have a very good laser. I can shoot it in an instant. It follows such a large gambit. I know steam, it becomes steam. Yes, and it's not like a cloud. But the difference in density is much higher, right? Because in the air guard vacuum, right in the world ring, the space is not completely air, but it is very air ritual. And compared to that,
The laser light does not leave me if I go at the speed of light. I can't shoot myself.
if I go at the speed of light, I can't shoot myself, it's done. I can't protect myself. I said that the 3/4 of light is still realistic, but if I go into this cloud when I fell out, this little piece of stone, and the spaceship will twitch, everyone will fall back and forth, because the collision will be very big. He goes to him almost as if he was going to some subject. The collision will be so big because at such a high speed there is a very serious collision. Well, then the earth outside, that their mother comes to the bitterness of their mother. First I met extraterrestrials. I asked him what this cart was going. And he said with the power of the Holy Spirit. Well, then I was a television. I had nothing to do with church things. Well, did you think what I said? Did you think what I said? Well, go and continue to think. But woman, but it goes with that. Don't be stupid. And then he explained, and then, just then I drew the Holy Soul. Just then. They came here, but I didn't know that. So the encounter was no coincidence. Is he so? They sent them here. They knew where I was going to come down. With Met communication, I heard what they were talking about, and then I spoke. They were frightened for the first time. There were 2 green partly like the leaf frog. But it's really green. It was humanoid, and 5, it was similar to a man. But there are a lot of humanoids, a lot of different types. Imagine the crazy extremes a lot. There are 16 main species in this galaxy. So, in this galaxy, the main species, not a subspecies, 16 main species. There are 16 pairs of universe in this galaxy, which is 32. Well, so say that. The jacket shows that there are 32 white fields on the jacket, and 32 black. Of course, and how many players are there? 16. 16 and 16 right. Yes. The chess game is a life game. And play the DNA, imagine it. Madness. Madness. So he's in the hands of humanity, and a jacket champion would be a very good biologist if he knew he was a biologist. Sometimes it may come to good solutions precisely because he is a good chess and biologist. There is also a good pairing. So the extraterrestrials do not work in space because in space there is a distance, slowing, acceleration, so physics is true. He didn't say physicists were stupid, no. Here in space, this slowdown and acceleration, that's true. You should move on, but they don't move on. Errors are topic locally because they are stuck with space-time, already with space and time. Even in these recent books, time is a great secret, and time is something quite incomprehensible, and they write. Of course, as long as the time is identified by the Wecker watch and its history, so in the stupid category it is fine with you, then it's done. And from here he won't come out in the stinky damn life because he's looking at his watch. And the gears and the quartz and the atomic clock, and oh, I say, leave it with your stupid. You can watch it too. You can grab it free. Don't get it. You can grab it. Just don't get it. Yes. It's such a good little fool. So here it is. There is the inscription under it. Very interesting. This is how science is trying to overcome the two-dimensional universe. Well, I didn't really define the time. How many dimensions? I didn't define. They tried to understand the time somehow, but they didn't understand. This has been going on for 100 years, and philosophers and mathematicians have been working on it for 100 years. But they couldn't get rid of it, and it was interesting that Bela Lukács is a teacher. It is a very cute and very educated, smart person, physicist, mathematician, space-time academic. At least 5 or 6 radio because I made a TV show with it. He was invited to mumble me into the Malta. So they were invited. Then it turned out now we understand each other. Well, these TVs, these are such a contrary thing, so what I say is not understandable, uncommon. What science says is very understandable, but it does not understand. But it's something very scientific. It's not very scientific. They have to be hit with each other. It will be popping. Oh, but good, there is a show. We're invited to such shows. I was such a rocket expert that he was not a physicist. He did not tell me, but to the teacher, Bela Lukács, that he was not a physicist, and Bela Lukács began to say such things. What he didn't like, and what I know in Moscow learned some rocket technology course, and he thought he already knew everything and everything, because he did it, and it's a huge thing. Well, you can count on a course, and wow, and what? Well, he called me, but the teacher couldn't be cheated on the wall, not such a man. It was cute, and dealt with space-time, and it turned out that what I am saying came out to physicists. The fact that it is in space-time is time loops. Only the time loops are discarded regularly and professionally. But the essence of the universe is regularly thrown away and thrown away. I can't go back to kill my own mother. I say, don't be stupid anymore. Undefensive guns, leave it with that. To go back in 1 billion seconds, so I can't lift the knife, the stuka, or something, a millimeter on it, the time is over. What? It's not really a reflection, it's such a very foolishness. It's one to say, a strange existence. The time, here, they tried in this cosmology book, was published in Hungarian in 1000 kilos, and 85.5, and when it was published in 70. English. So he appeared in Hungarian for a few years. But elsewhere, the book was actually translated. And this cosmologist didn't really understand the cosmology, but wrote the book about it. Well, it's okay. And here's the time when you look at time is 1 point. That point, yes. And there is the future, it comes in, but here it is ill.
Because the future is coming.
The past goes.
So this is what has already spoiled it by default, because he thinks we are going to the future. Through the present, we always go towards the past.
Right, because it has already happened.
The future will happen. And from there, the future comes to this side. And then it becomes a long time.
But there is no point, because when I say the present is now, it is past.
This is as you say, so it is.
So the present is a constantly changing something. They couldn't actually explain it in depth and try to variable with the rays of light. That it works, this is the two-dimensional universe. Then there will be a figure where gravity is being depicted with such a pit.
It will be after.
There are three such figures, not still.
This is the last figure at the end. But there is still back as it is.
So he wants to tell you a curved space-time. But listen, what are you curving? When the space-time is already curved.
And time is already curved. No need to curl.
Just because he did not clarify what time is, then he did not honestly clarify what the spatial time is. That it is a floodplain, that it is created. It did not clarify it. It is great, so foolish. He knows everything better. Master can go to his mother's bitter, and then I will tell you.
And he doesn't go anywhere.
So let's say if the sun is at the bottom of the pit, and then the planets circulate around it, they try to explain it at university with such a rubber handle. They pull out such a big rubber carrier, and then put a big lead in the middle, and then a handful of bearing. A bearing newspaper is surrounded by a bun around, and loyal, and you see the planets. And everything, and we understand, and you don't know what gravity is, the trouble begins.
This is not the gravity, not just because there is such a figure.
Einstein has already dealt with it, and Einstein and Rosen dealt with this issue. They have come to this solution so far. There is a figure where what's on it? It will not be the pit, but an improved version of it. Yes, that's it, yes. And then this is called Einstein.
Rosen diagram, or what the hell is called.
To try to explain that the space-time is connected to other spatial times.
Einstein-Rosen diagram.
Einstein-Rosen, yes, because the Einstein-Rosen bridge, and not Podolsky, but Rosen, but they also work together in space-time, on the strings, and others. And here's such a hole you can go through the paired universe.
Which is the same.
He thinks in a plane from here to see the flat brain. So it takes a paper, drives into the cities on it, and I can travel from the city, B city of B. Two cities are on the paper, no need to travel anywhere, we are already there. Well, it's not good, of course it's not good, but this is a scientific explanation, kids, so let's not be stupid. Well, that's the Sarah, sorry for the expression. As it is, it's not good for anything. Here you also try to connect it with such a tube that has no distance and no time, and then this worm is a hole.
And then the wormhole, then the UFOs come through.
They have tried these, they have come so far.
It's not enough like a masked door for the barking please.
You should get any further and move on.
There is no distance, but it has time. Is that? Such a existence, such a space-time layer.
There is no layer of time for this. It's space. He only thinks in space. You can't imagine space-time, you have no idea. Space-time imagines that there are three space vectors eyes back and forth, all three. It has minus plus, has 6 directions, and the next. The time which is a scalar spreading sphere. I asked artificial intelligence if you imagine that time. And he says that such a fourth dimension, like that, good, but fourth, right, the fourth means that this is a dimension essentially, so yes. Yeah, so the fourth dimension is not an extra 3 dimensions, right? But the fourth. Then it's a one-dimensional good day God. And it's a. This is a sit down. You can't stand far.
The man came fast sits where he wants.
Yes, well now I came from Buters. I didn't think it would be like that.
What is it like? Did you come slowly?
22 buses, just to Moscow Square.
My car. Well, there are fuckers. Well, it's not like that in the evening.
We already know that there should be a commission, or was there. From there, more like it.
Well, so let's get back. We kept there.
And then I told him it was a one-dimensional time then.
A one-dimensional spread sphere described by Professor Minkowski. Really, Minkowski wrote, I say really. Described, this was Professor of Einstein mathematics, but it cannot be called half-time. And up good, well, that's it, and then I say think through the spreading sphere. Yes, but how can you describe it? Because you can't describe it. Because it has a parameter, of course, the spreading sphere and the non-spreading, its radius. As this radius is growing, the sphere increases. Hurrah! And if I give it to C, it's always C, because it is given anyway. Then I have enough of a parameter for me. Then can you make a spreading sphere? That's how it can. Well, then listen, the monkey jumps into the water, we go to bathe. I explained her time structure slowly. Well, but the time, you wrote the Minkowski, but just a point like we saw it in the crossing figure at the beginning, right? Our time is sometimes point, it's a point, but it's a constantly changing thing, and what the Frank operates and wakes up. How does it work? Something operates. How important is this? Well, we can say that this is the only one in the universe. Then it is perhaps important because it produces material, light, energy, souls, everything. So this little present, it works somehow, and that's what I realized how it works. And they almost realized it before 35 years ago, but it wasn't now, it was a long time ago. Even the Peacock Ferry took the Meru.org sheet from somewhere, and they were enthusiastic that they were already dealing with the time source. Yes, and it is very interesting that they have drawn the unmanifest, but they did not realize how it was manifested. They put everything they needed quite well, just forgot something, that it manifests itself. I have already told this artificial intelligence I sacrifice.
But that changes the whole physics. I say, of course.
What I say, just listen because it all changes. You can stupid me, I'm here with stupid.
Well, come and argue.
Because here he writes that he talks about stupid things.
Well, tell me where I said stupidity.
So these are such big faces, you know more than everyone, so they try to work on women constantly to learn 2 or 3 things that women do not know.
And then there will be the very boys, and then they are very cool and very smart.
Because the boy is either smart, rich or strong.
Then the 3 together are really. Yes. It is very rare that it is smart, beautiful, even cute, good and even rich.
This is very rare. Women dream of such a ponytail prince that the ponytail is coming and bouncing them and will be 20 between the clouds.
Women imagine this, and that's okay.
They are cute, kind, charming.
Well, here's the Meripon where they are trying to tell us this with an apple. Okay, recognition is good because this is the apple that Eve offered to Adam there. It has nothing to do with biological apples.
It has nothing to do with it.
Or even poor Adam.
Since then, Adam has been there.
The throat is apple and the well.
He don't know, and in vain he survives himself to the opposite, so he doesn't have Adam's chick, so he gets caught right way. This is such an artificial character.
He thinks he'll be happy, he'll never be happy.
I, as a pastor, say he will never be happy. You will enjoy a couple of times, but happy is different.
Sex is not happiness, it's different.
So when it's good to wake up with someone, you don't look at him, God whom I slept with, because there is one.
There was such a way in my life that it looked so good and all. Wow, morning, oh, there was no one in the morning.
Attractive appearance. So back, you explain very good and actually decides that 1 letter, there is such a black stripe on the hand.
Yes, in a tetrahedron, when you put this letter in, put in the tetrahedron and rotate it according to a very regular algorithm. Do not chat, roll it, roll it.
The ABC comes out, the whole algebra ABC, but the Latin ABC comes out. Imagine how regular it is. I haven't checked it yet. But the tetraeder is sure it's good because I checked it. Here he's drawn into the tetraeder, and it is nothing more than the way of God. Semi-spiral spiral. It is nothing more than the path of God in its existence. No, this is one, no water element. You don't have to add, it has a water element, because the basic thing is that it is the first time, but it does not flood.
This being does not distribute itself into the world, but has an ideal tiny Planck-sized, much smaller one, much smaller than the Planck-sized small dust.
It exists there, but does not do anything. So it exists, and then the whole thing is that it exists.
Then when?
This flow is just twisted so much because it flows on such an apple-like surface, and when it twists a half, it is so far. There was such a toroid, the toroid would become a rotation lemnisca. That is, to turn a line 8 to rotate the rotation lemnisca.
And the apple surface, well, there is obviously the apple surface.
What Eve offered, and well, they believe it as religion, believe it as belief, and believe everything you can imagine. but every religion preserves imagine it, but everyone has it.
If you think the Quran has nothing to do with the Bible, then I would just tell you that, but there is the same story described in Arabic. The same is described in it. It's not another something. The same Adam, Eve paradise starts the same way and tells the essence of creation.
I found it. I found 2 pictures of the picture Bible survived over the years because it was removed, just smoked, but survived. God is cunning, but not bad, and remains on the powder shelf of some library.
And that's good that it is.
Just as I searched for the history of the Hungarians and found it.
Latin.
I found it. 1603, or when the Hungarians were described in Latin, and the Hungarians start from Ava Adam, so it is so. The story is interesting though, and
that doesn't mean we think about such beliefs.
Well, the one who doesn't know the solution, of course, would say, so he says.
He's so simpler for him.
Just as the old man writes all the stupid things. I say if you could understand it a little, you would probably enjoy it. That's what I answered for someone, now you understand. Then you would enjoy what I would say. He doesn't enjoy it because at the 3rd sentence he drops and ready and doesn't go any further.
He can't go any further.
What?
No, you know nothing.
He cannot synthesize, cannot assemble, do not understand, do not understand.
I tell you, I'll show you clearly, showing the picture what you want better.
So you have it.
So this one letter is interesting because it is described with this one letter to the Torah.
The Torah.
It is described in this only one letter. What is described with uninhabited Oheba and the uninhabited Oheba, those sounding with the scores, the vowels, those vowels between the other, these 2 points, 1 point. And these are the sounders to the Ivrit, the new Jew. But to the old one they learned from God at the time. Well, they brought it with them, so it wasn't now, because the Jews came to the ground 600 and 700 years before or after us. 600-700 years after us.
We are now writing 6066. Yes, we are writing 66 now.
66, and they have the time about 700 years earlier, we know.
Yes.
And the point is that they came to the ground later. There was such a move, so after there was a flood, fire was destroyed, everything was destroyed, everything was over, the earth was empty, the situation was consolidated. Yeah, you can live now. Then the space is always needed for the peoples, and then they are looking for a habitable planet where the atmosphere is good for them. There is a plant you can eat or bring with you.
Well, it is interesting that our great food plants we eat on Earth have no ancestors.
Biologists know this, but they don't talk about it very much because that's the kind of evolution that's weird.
Of course, no one is a happy ancestor. Buzz says, and what? Yes. But wheat, corn, all our foods came here with spaceships that were sterile. Imagine it came.
And in the description it was only free to break up. You have the description that it was only allowed to be open when you rejected it.
Should not be open. And so it was sterile, and it was done, and it was good. They also tried similar here to put the wheat between such 2 adhesive ribbons. Not wheat, but corn grains.
Well, at what distance?
As
they usually sow corn.
And then you don't have to eat, you don't have to scratch the good little corn because you leave one and then it will increase. But pulled into the ground in the tape of the paper. The paper ribbon was a little such plough hoe that opened the ground, invested this adhesive tape that was there again and again the corn grains. Then you didn't have to hoe the corn, it still worked. He's found Petty, look. Others can be planted like this, of course. He also goes with Selleck's what I know. And then from that time I knew it with the ribbon. It wasn't Selleck's when it was a Hungarian idea. Then somehow, I don't know, they didn't show it to be used. It's a very good idea because you have to use much less seeds, but really much. Because you constantly sprinkle the seed or put one there, but that doesn't mean the same thing. Command. Well, they can do it now. At the time there was no computer on the seeders, now knows everything. Well, on the edge of our brigade, they tried to determine the composition of the soil and sprinkle the manure. The principle of my gravitational binoculars works in it. Then it wasn't done, but the story is working in. It analyzes the ground and puts the fertilizer that is missing there. He does not spend the whole earth with something, but only adds what he needs. Well, it's 10, 100 times less up. Yes.
I had 1.5 acres of lead. I bought soil samples from 10 to 12 places and took them to Godalo. What materials are in it? And I said I wanted to sow corn or wheat, what it needed. And what they analyzed. They said how much to scatter per square meter or hectare. 20-2. I brought a success in the neighboring land and a 17/16 success. That's the point.
Very, very much. Yes, and you don't have to exterminate the gillies. You, for example, what they did. The gillies were discovered with poison, they were ploughed by deep ploughing, etc. So they can all cause great harm. It looks good at first, but then it turns out that it's not that good in the long run. Not good because the gillies pull off the straw remains and pull everything down to the ground. I pulled down 1.5 meters deep. And there they are being killed, and bacteria and soil bacteria have been made horns with these spraying and everything. They sprinkled the DDT like its order. I had a lecture in Debrecen from which we were banned, but by giving us the lobby for money, and they said 3 days before that it was not because it was busy. Well, there was no socket, they lied. But there was all 60 journalists, and it turned out. Because I told you, of course. And there was that I said that you said to sprinkle the DDT only hurts insects, not to people. And it turned out that the milk of the Eskimo is so much DDT. That it is incredible. Though the Eskimo mothers can be biologically dirty. Where are the Eskimo mothers from DDT? So do you understand what's wrong?
In connection with deep-seated, and I always said, not only is it a sporting of the intention to cultivate the ground cheaper, but I do not take the main bacteria 20 inches, which requires sunlight, the lower and the sunlight. I always photographed the top. Very smart. Yes, the best is the deep cheeks, but they can't do it in a stove. Yes.
So there are lots of ideas worth listening to doing in small gardens, and especially very good.
There is an old girl who never hoes, does nothing, and yet her garden is very much. Yes. They just reject it and do nothing. It sprinkles the seed so it breaks.
We learn to die, and it is our responsibility that all knowledge lives as much as you pass on.
That's right. So what I tell you about time is only good if I hand it over. And I am constantly giving it this. So we could put it out there at the spaceships or the UFOs. How are they traveling? UFOs do not go through such wormholes. Look for dark matter, dark energy. Look for fish. Now I calculated the muck and it comes out. It also appears in a UFO magazine. I don't know now, but the point is, in the paired universes, I have the dark energy and dark matter. There is not dark the same material as this. If you go through the making universe, you will see the days, the stars, and see that the same material as this is here just in the universes that are more than one.
In fact, the universe is generated by 5 dimensions.
5 plus 1 to be true. Because there is a king girl in her. In the fairy tales. What would you give if you know the dark era is coming? When all the knowledge is stabbed into the mud, lights up to destroy, to abolish, such a cultural revolution breaks out. Well, it's always usual to break. The stupid has come to power and live with it. They live with it just big, and the pianist is implanted because it is here, not working.
A pianist who plays Beethoven is implanted.
The bite is implanted by the onger, and it can be pierced. Really, so the one who judges this is a colourful bull. But there are always such. Always. It has been raised several times in the history of mankind. Polbok or ours erased everyone who had an eye. Because you can read, if you can read it, you have to kill it because you can read. So there is always such a stupid, always there. It is now. So, whoever speaks, so I'm talking stupid. But if I plant it here, come here, my friend, and sit here, get a microphone, say, talk to me for an hour, it makes sense of anything you think. You will not be able to speak for 5 minutes, guaranteed.
Say 3 sentences.
You know, now what else can you say? But these for women, they tried to make sure I was the flame because you and your little one. This is how they tried to prevail. And then women are cycling that the Melbourne board is a beer. What do I know? And then the poor girl doesn't know to tear off heads. Yes, because he tries to rule over him by speaking. Always cyclically.
That's what politics wanted.
Of course, it is very good that politics is excellent and excellent. So it is not true that we went to women. Well, if you look at the ethnography, then it seems that neither the Lori nor the peasant women went to the top. They didn't go to the top ranks.
It was Hun, but why?
Because the man was much more than the number of women.
There are few women in combat societies. No, the man is few, not a dream woman, but the man because they are lost in battles, and then you have to be very careful because the remainder who hunt there because they haven't come to them anymore. They hunt for women, so they could go out into the street with a curtain, and not even very much. So that a man had to go with him to not grab his butt so they would not try it. Because the world was rock hard, and in that rocky world when a good woman was seen, then they threw themselves on it, and they were cut on the spot. See what they are doing in Germany now. Bluff. No need, I don't say anything about it, check it out. And he says that the creator is the greatest. Well, the creator is the biggest. No doubt.
Okay, but it's completely misunderstood, because if you say European, you don't really understand what makes it, why it lasts, why the biggest, why. Because Christians know nothing about creation.
They know the East. The Arabs don't know much anyway. They say good sometimes, but no, to the East in India, and it is interesting that it was not in China, but in India and Japan, who were so isolated for a long time, stayed there. That knowledge. So the temple itself was built by the way all its size was built.
Here too the Catholic churches are good. They are such that it is built, it goes into the numb. But Luga will help.
Wow, but what it feels, what's here, what they're feeling. You go to a good vibration temple, you feel, no matter whether you believe in God or don't believe it, it doesn't matter. You go in, wow, what I feel.
Sacred geometry, so is it.
And the good architects they knew, of course. And they built temples, which was like to come to God.
Well, if the vibration is so bad, you don't want to come in.
God wants to come in and listen to what you want to tell him.
A lot of channels fit in.
Because one is God, yes, how many variations it comes out, how many channels it is.
So the soul of God himself is the fifth of 12 channel.
The junction system is inexplicably complicated.
What? What if you were better off loud?
Well, much bigger. After all, he's connected to all the beings of the universe. So he's connected to all the existence of the universe, that is, the light quantals, the souls, and the material particles, but the overall. After all these material particles and souls, and everything from him, say from him, says from him, is the sources of his time.
Yes, accurate.
It has everything, and it has everything. All, yes.
Sorry, no question would be. Jesus said that my Father did not live in stone houses built by man. In the temples, if a sacred, carved.
It was specifically emphasized not to carve to the temple. That's why they made the cave churches where the monolithic vibration of the stone was. There are such temples in the East.
What churches?
She was carved into the rock.
In kids, there is a sacrament.
So either there is Lalibela, or there, say, in Ethiopia, in the rock, the temple was built down. There was the rock surface, they wrapped an increasingly deep pit and carved the temple. He was in the middle of the pit, standing there.
The difference is that he understands the instruction. The others do not understand the instruction. You just don't understand.
So they tell him something,
But he explains it misunderstood.
it's good, it won't be good.
So they think you can make a modern temple. You can't. Can the Creator be a good temple, or did they make it?
If the sacred geometry is included, it will approach it a little.
Very close. And they did something to resonate for the Creator. You look up there, the stupa.
There's a stupa over your head. Do you see it?
This stupa, an accurate angle stupa, is tuning.
If you fight up there, the lamp will ignite. You don't wage enough.
You have to wrestle in the doorway.
Have you already ignited?
Well, then go out into the door and come in.
But you're the man, not the mon. There, as you come in, hold your hand.
Do you see
Well,
it?
it's a stupa. which works very accurately. So accurate is the Tari stupa that the drip is there.
I managed it when they did it, dismantled it with the locksmiths, did it so nicely. He said, that's crap. He weighed the angle, told me what to be. They didn't do that. Well, dismantle it, not good.
And then they had to do it again.
And then they made it to a good angle. And it's already working. Taran has a stupa.
You think it doesn't do anything well, a tower?
So the resonator.
This is a creative resonator. Not a space resonator, it is a creative resonator. Cups are the creator, especially the straight cups, that is a resonator for the creator. That's it.
This is not the usual resonator, but I put the other resonator elements and stepped into the air.
I stepped into the air twice.
Oh, I say no. Oh, it's just like that.
Taran, I told you the Tari stupa. I told you 5 times at least.
Yes.
25 roads.
Miles. Yes, yes.
A sea goes to Edja.
Yes, 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 yes.
25 roads.
21.
He goes right next to him.
21.
Yes, yes.
Well, so this is Tari stupa, but they even made a very big temple here, built by it.
This stupa bit small. 30 years ago, the donation box was painted by my son.
He was 9 years old, yes. He was 9 years old, painted it a long time ago. And he was up for a week and taught the masters there.
Because he understood the time structure so much, he grew up in it.
That he could say everything well and said it. And that's why he was very welcome, because he said the point. The one who leads this, the drip, has my book, so they sold my book and the old ones there. So they read this. I don't guarantee if they understood. So the thing is, I can't get anyone meaning to anyone. He understands. It is good.
It is exactly what my question is, that when these huge saintly and cathedrals were built long ago. Yes, they knew the dimensions. The angle is very important.
Underneath where the stated part is, there is a shelf around. On this shelf, such small statuettes, stupid statues, more are placed around. It is circled around and is there for 2 weeks. And then they take me to the store. So it is filled there, filled with this sanctuary, and it works.
Those 2 statues are from the top of the altar cabinet.
An eagle and a snake.
You can buy it.
No, I'm not saying, but you can buy it.
Come on.
Why do you want the flag buckets?
The prayer flag.
Inside is such a big cylinder, so it is such an advertising-like roller. The kuras and pack of sabola travelled very cleverly, but it was a Buddhist saying. How strange it sounds. Hungarian Buddhist saying. And the memories of Sandor C. Somas Kuras is said, and let go of school here in Budapest. I even taught me in the building, not at school, and this was allowed to be built. This was allowed to build this.
Juba first, then there is upstairs on the side of the mountain they built a very nice Tata church. It is a female saint, and then it was built there for a Tarquin church.
They may have even built something, but there are big temples there now, built up. Enough I was up in the temple, it was very nice, it was still built when we were up.
So the point is that they do not spray the money, but build on resonators, but resonators bring good forces there.
Of course, they radiate an information.
In the large cylinder that is the big such advertising column-like cylinder, it is rotated by a washing machine.
You can hear tam nam 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 nam. It goes in the washing machine.
And it rotates this advertising like roller and is full of prayers.
And as he rotates, he always tells all the prayers. Aval tells you all the prayers inside once.
And it's already full of such a lot of handwritten prayers.
But why is the handwritten interesting?
Here's the cylinder.
It was not originally, these were these pictures. It has now been transformed. But nice to know, I have no problem with it, just...
There were such packages of couriers very tactically.
So somebody was pouring, so it's a lot of memories.
Yeah, well, it could be.
Well, with the time of comrades, it started to start the Buddhists here slowly, and then...
Yes.
And they were pushing.
We were the Dalai Lama A. Today was here in Budapest, had a performance for 2 days, had a 2-day performance.
And we did the 2-day sale. But he says, don't repent to another religion, because good is what you have. But from here it can be seen that it's not about money. Don't get here, don't pay here, you don't have to.
And it was true that the songs were asked if the heart was here, and he laughed. The main heart.
Of course, of course. The podium, and that there are such podiums, right?
And there the podium is constantly pounding, so they go out there. At least the kids go away, breathe, I have nothing to do with it. Well, how much the stone is pounding, how much I did not hear to be pounding.
I didn't hear it, but I picked up Mihalaihegy on the north side of the Danube. I heard there.
Wow, really?
On St. Michael's Hill. Face with him, face with him. Really? A 2-hour foot exceeded only the bald tip peak, and I heard the podium up there.
It is not impossible, otherwise not to speak, no, that's why I said I didn't hear, so I listened to the stone, listened to the rock, listened, did not beat, listened to the ground, and did not beat there.
He was beating at the top of St. Michael's Mountain.
Hooray! I'll leave once trying to listen to it. I still have to be prepared. Now I will have a lecture at the UFOC Congress on Sunday.
Is that what the Bertie painted?
Well, here it is.
Tradition box.
Yes, that's it, so when?
It's been a long time. He was 9 years old. And what did the Olax produce? He was born in the 8th week. A long time ago. The Tree of Life. Tree of Life, yes. So the thing is, no one knows why this box is valuable.
No one knows yet.
Why is this box valuable? It is better not to know.
Better not knowing, yes.
Not that, but the fools are everywhere. The fools who just murmur, hysterical, scream, and fool. But it cuts the knife into you because you like it.
Convincingly fool.
Of course.
He will tell you that he knows the truth, but now he will show everyone.
Well, it's good.
So where did we keep it? Where did we keep it?
I'm just a bunch. Everything is fine. Does it matter what direction is that prayer rolling
It
up?
matters, yes.
It's not just where you turn.
No, it matters. And it's equipped there. It's here in the price to go out. We also have a little donation box, and then there. And to turn the prayer in the right direction, because there is you brought it yet right.
Who brought it?
From Nepal. Original Nepalese Imamalam. There is also such. Our prayer roller. Here's the prayer on it. It doesn't galan. It works like this, and inside it, of course. There are prayers, as I talked about. And here are the prayers. Well, it's printed.
No need to murmur.
No need to murmur, so it is.
Perhaps your fault is that you were printed.
Because handwriting is also thought of. Oh, only the text. There is the money to write by hand.
That's right. That's right.
A kind of quantum physics.
A kind of quantum physics. Perfect.
External.
External.
That's right.
So this story is not easy because someone believes it is a religion, because they don't know what it is. You don't know it all. You don't know. But it's good. It's just no humbug. Then, when you find out the details, you start humming and crushing your neck. So the Snowfall Seven Dwarf Tales is just a tale.
Did the physicists read all of them?
In their childhood, did their children read the law of good and the weak? Certainly, at least once heard. There is no physicist on earth who has not read the laws of good and the weak at least once. Now the light quantum is bad. The light quantum of the light quantum is poorly. Such an old tale, yes. Such an old tale. How old is God? How old is God? Because people try to measure everything. Because if God is like me, he will die in 100 years. But well, sorry, the Greek gods who were in Greek mythology now live.
Well, once it's inaudible.
What is it for you to live for 180 years? Is it inaudible? Either 200 years it is immortal, or which is still living in 5 billion years. That is immortal. This is not the immortal that people are packing on here.
Because you believe it, and you believe it, so it's good.
What do you believe? How the light is such an electromagnetic wave, so does it go. It's a stupid thing, but it is taught at every university as a revelation.
Yes.
But we grow old, we grow biologically.
It can be repaired, otherwise it can be repaired.
Well, it's down now. It's downstairs now. It has come down for a long time. It has grown up. It has long been adult. Not now, not old, young and woman.
And not a man, but a woman.
Yes, yes.
Creator quality is always a woman.
What?
Creator quality is female when a man is a woman.
Not. There are two creators.
A man and a female creator.
It doesn't matter. Both. There is nothing separate to be a material creator.
There is only creator and the creator.
Like quantum, spatial, quantum, material, particles, souls can be created from the branches of time. He's come from it.
But that's not the material.
Although, though,
Human souls come from Zamkar, that is, that there is a large divine soul. This is a material particle. This is the Zamkar, it is in the east.
And the buds of this, the material particles, are also the souls that bud its side, are constantly leaning from it. And these spilled souls are really together. They are connected to the branches.
Him who released it, and they will be back with him. In the end. And it makes sense, because if you get back, what the hell? Why? Our knowledge. What the souls collect, which is collected for billions of years, all knowledge, all possible variations, everything can know.
Yes. They fall back with him because they are injured. So the crowded soul is injured.
Sometimes here, there, where they are injured, and these are the small injuries, this is the case. So, in time, they are wearing it back. Very durable, very good, it goes for a very long time, but not to infinity. Good evening. Well, there is then. Do you have any questions?
There is afterbirth.
Good.
I would ask.
Ask.
I started reading Arvasula, but
I didn't get very well. Well, you can't get it because it's one like a phone book, like that.
yes. What is Medvetoro's year?
Edvitoro's year is the first to eat the bear. It was forbidden, because a large part of the population came from the direction of the Big Bear, a serious part of the Hungarians. Big Bear, Small Bear, and son-in-law.
They came from here.
Then a lot of them were stuck for a couple of thousand years on Mars. Then they came to Mars, to the ground. Because the land was not really habitable when they came to someone else waiting for them to be over. From there it was possible to send a probe sooner to look around what was. He looked around, but the situation is still crap.
And they waited again and waited.
And that's why they waited a few thousand years before the land was good again, the ground was good. So who could be released on the street was not burned or not. So the situation was good.
And these ancestors came from several places, and our grandmother still knew it.
At least my grandmother still knew it was a coal.
And he knew.
My grandmother was born in Comodaras and was called Elizabeth Rabbitin.
And that is very interesting that
My grandmother knew where the ancestors came from. Then it is not yet written with Mr. Arvis, because they have tried to prevent his appearance by all means.
And he appeared somewhere in Canada. I was here for a while. I can't find where it was. It may have been stretched, the Canadian version. But I have the Arvisor and started from here again.
Because I talked to Zoltan Paul and said I would get the Arvisura to you. At that time he hadn't appeared at Puski, and not yet.
His daughter, Eve, sold it to the Boyk, but it came out then. But it also came to the Pojki because I got it in Shombadli. A year later,
It was about a year, at least 1 year, I had a lecture in Shombadli, and then a journalist colleague rushed to me and said that here was Mr.
Arvis A.
What do you have about here? There was a good other reason.
Of course, I talked to
Zoltan. Zoltan has long been in person. I haven't met him personally.
only with his soul.
But flawlessly.
It was him flawlessly, and then Zoltan said I would get it. I got it.
Well, at least he brought me 700 pages to me.
And he took it to such an enthusiastic library student on a microfilm, which was very good because it had a microfilm, and I borrowed it.
At everyone I give you, but 2 have to be brought back.
Well, 700 pages, that's not a few.
But they were so curious that they were copied, and so the exemplary number increased because I realized that, wow, this is a great thing. This is the ancient story of the Hungarians.
Not a scam, no thing. It has a piece where we came in the Carpathian business, how many with a wagon, how many horses, how many cattle, how many sheep.
Everything is absolute, the leaders, everything is there, not that something came on the Carpathian Bay, and then they came across the strait, and then no, so much more detailed.
And then I got the Tarjunga smoke.
There is no Russian version because it has Latin. So it's like a Russian version is a scary because I want to disable it at all costs.
This is very important.
For some.
But in the meantime, I found the sturgeon and found the Oscus tables. Oscus tables are the Latin version of the Zarvis, A.
Roman 16.
Billy years.
Oh.
And there is the same in Latin.
And in the Uscus board, the Hungarian translation is included in the Oscus table. It includes in its thick water, Arvisera, it has a Hungarian translation. But I found it in Latin, the university library of a small French town where they had no idea what it was.
I typed it in the search engine.
Well, I couldn't find it.
Hungarian search engine.
And there was Akos, the German interpreter. And then, when you were looking, he did not push Google.hu, but Google.de, the German variation.
I wrote down Google. In several ways. If you find it, imagine it, you just found it. The Hungarian search engine, as if it had been banned.
And it was interesting that a French university was on the pale, where you make a PDF from each page. I have been scolded with it for a long time.
Of course, because of each sheet, even my slow machines were slow, and even their machines were very slow.
So every quarter, I was able to get one sheet from 500 sides.
At old 2 or 3 days here I was here, but I was...
No, I'm not like to give up, I have it.
As much as I could, I had everything.
Is it shredded now? It is, of course, it has the universality.
The Latin version is on it.
So, you buy the University CD and take it.
And it's there. And I got the Tahayungarus, which means that the history of the Hungarians is in Turkish. It's titled and we're not allowed to print at the Hungarian Academy is dealing with it here, and a professor of Hungarian origin of Prague. Those who were at Turkugus fell to his throat circus and threatened with everything.
Why?
Went out to the thing, went out in Istanbul, the Topkapi Museum, but they were already in front of him. They spoke to him and told him it was you.
And they met a body, such a UN head of Napfalnik met.
He went into the Topkapi and was immediately released. They didn't want to bring them in Hungary. He wanted to take photos to make the text.
Because for us the value is not that the original paper and the paint and the paper no.
It is only important for anyone who wants to own it.
I'm interested in information.
The paper put it up, I don't care.
Take it, steal it, take it, do it, I don't care.
The point is there was the original text and then it translated it. It's also interesting.
It is also on the Universitas CD.
Yes.
And the question is, how much is this thanks to what you downloaded?
Well, it's there, try it, so I don't know anymore.
He's in Latin. Now, if you think you're Latin and a great human because you can lift the text from it so you can highlight the text, you recognize the PDF. Then you grab yourself and put it out, throw it into the translator, so.
Literally translates to you. What is there, what is not in it, you see.
But you throw it in Word. The word is already included. You select the text, some part, and then it appears to be translated.
And then you wave, you put the whole text in the red, then you select a little, and then there is a translation.
It appears from what language to what language, right?
There is Hungarian, and then what I know is Latin, and then Hungarian.
Good job. Good job, a big thing.
Here are the Oscars tablets you see. It is on the universe so much.
It is in Latin.
It was not me that I was scolded in such a cheek, but that French university.
That's not the point. Foil is one there is in the upper line of the book, and it is interesting that if you go on, then with this we say where the 4 is, it's very interesting, say the 4th page, the 4th foil, you step back here and see the drink in there.
Do you see where you started?
No.
It's 34. Not good.
That's not good either.
The 4 are not written as we learned.
That's what I wanted to say. Yes, so 34, so 4 are described here, not to negate that there is a 5th minus 1.
And from here you can see that this is old. It's all.
There was no KGB, even the KGB KS plan was not when it was there, 1603.
So this has been a long time ago. And here is the story of our people. Not all of it was left, but as much as I could get. And maybe this, even if you're a little more than a little, you may find it. The internet is an interesting mine. They find diamonds and sometimes shit anything. It's like looking patiently. But okay, much of people, if you don't search, just push. So, presses here, pushes there. You don't even know how to type the title.
It does nothing.
He pushes, push.
I found a matter with searching.
Right?
But sometimes you can find searching if you are lucky.
God wants you to see, you will see it.
My experience is that if someone has a good intent, thought, purpose, he is with him.
Yes, he stands next to him. There is no coincidence. He has no presence. It stands with you if you are well-intentioned, you want to go with it more head, etc. This is interesting because they were tried to degrade us with the miners. Succeeded, but only to some extent. The 15 Nobel laureates show that they have not been quite successful.
They may not have been awarded the Nobel Prize in Hungary, because no, only 2.
I don't know how the new Nobel laureate has come home how.
Already here? We don't note it anywhere.
No, not. No, he discovered very interesting things, what the intention was, how and what. He didn't use it for anything.
But he just discovered something, wrote it, shit.
And was used for bad.
Oh no,
They shit. They were completely excessively shit.
and then the panic broke out.
How should you somehow medication and to access the virus? And Bajda, and then it turned out that yeah, the solution is described.
And then one of the tentacles of the virus was planted on such a jerk, and from then on the solution worked.
Because he had no chance, because he was such a nasty outburst, a damn virus, and he had no chance to be heaven.
Who wanted to write the population of the earth with him? Like the Spagiano, well, the same. There are hundreds of millions of people died there. Almost half of the population of Europe died. More than the war. It was a crazy big death. This was dug up by the ants. When I read it, it came to me backward.
Because how?
When I read it, there was COVID. And if not, then I found such a COVID. Well, COVID was published in Hungary in the medical weekly newspaper in the 1960s.
I found it, I saved it. Well, they went down everything that is like that, because then it wiped it, dropped it. It wasn't, you talk stupid, here it is.
And then it was the same as
That they swap back and forth, and then in vain I found things, and there can be a nice thing to put together that.
they were told that the virus would die on the table or on the handle in 2 hours, the virus on the table would die in 3 hours, and the virus would die in 20 minutes.
There were such texts.
Ha ha ha, they had 100-year-old corpse.
100 years old.
Because about 100 years ago that Spagianotho was. In the 20s, so about 100 years.
They dug the corpse.
And who could be filled with a living virus?
Well, from here it can be seen that all lies and the opposite. All lies and the opposite. This is like Chernobyl was at that time. At Kossuth Radio has announced that there is no dangerous radiation in Budapest.
Kossuth Radio announced.
The next day, this same Kossuth Radio, I listened.
They heard it sharp.
The same Kossuth Radio said that radiation was reduced to the century.
Budapest. Okay, but what's the point?
If you go down to a whole 2/10 of microshive, then it can be said that radiation is no longer as dangerous.
But sorry, if part of the century.
It means that there was 100 times the background of the background.
Isn't it dangerous? You're already lying to your mother's bitterness here.
From there it seemed that the comrades were excessively stupid for radiation, the race to all.
But they were very bosses.
The fire commander took his grandson to see the burner reactor.
Or 2 grandchildren, both of them died in Baljica, Kiev.
That's how I saw them die.
Not exactly the moment, it was already covered, it's a taste so, but sorry. The fire brigade took his own grandchildren to a radiation that was damn dangerous.
He took him to show him heaven.
He sent the firefighters with the wet lag to water the nuclear tract.
They all died.
Miners tossed it with the shovel.
It was how long he could stay inside and then tossed.
But kids, from here it appeared to be an unscrupulous, stinky gangster, who was even stupid. Stupid. They're so stupid to get a bone. Very stupid. Because he has no idea of radioactivity, but he explains. Well, I call me an expert.
I was very interested in radioactivity, radiation, light, etc. when I was a young puppy.
I was very interested.
And the binoculars here are such astronomical binoculars, so these binoculars are very interested. I went to the Urania astronomer and their binoculars were the great place. There was a large binoculars and I twisted it there and binoculars.
Park ingress well, please.
Third 30.
And it's worth coming.
Budakalas is on Shentenda Road in 9 numbers. Budakalas. And its culture is, yes. You have to get into such a yard. You can park in the yard if you find a place in the beginning, and then you can't find it. And it lasts from 9 in the morning to 7 in the evening.
As he used to keep it because he was in Ujbis for a while, then it ceased, that place ceased, and then because it was a change of regime, and then that place ceased.
Let's be 2.
I have my performance at 2, yes. Before, no, after that there is the Ejali jury. It is worth the others. They will be good performers, yes, yes.
What? Parallel universe's existence on the glass mountain from here.
That's the title of my lecture. But well, who's afraid? I have to come. I don't know what he will say.
I haven't heard these performances yet.
But no problem. Then it will be fine. It is good.
This is when it comes up on Sunday at dawn. This is...
Is it developing a defense?
Are they buying with the head?
They usually buy it, yes, yes.
They are bought with the head.
At least last year was the main one.
It was the head.
Well, if there is one who picks it up. I also picked it up. It was I bought it. It was just picked up, but I didn't get it. Command. A big light spiral. Not that.
There was something like that, so it stands, and it was a little widened and contracted. Is this a camera picked up?
Yes, many cameras picked it up. It was very visible over Lake Balaton.
What is it? Pacting meteorite, such a larger meteorite that is enough.
Do you do such a spiral thing?
It wasn't the spiral. He flew almost horizontal, and then the meteor is down, somewhat down.
We saw this in the summer. We were on vacation with Balat and Shepes, and we had such an inflatable rubber lips. We laid our heads and looked at the fireworks. The star was colourful.
Very colourful, very bright, very long lit.
Like a fireworks. It was very nice. Our son, Jan.
Yes, it could have been something involved.
Well, we continue from here.